Give it to him.
That's what I said. You can have it back. Anyway, I thought that was pretty funny. So,
have you seen the one where it's people are coming down the elevator, Satan is standing on one of the floors, elevator opens and he goes, "Oh, you're looking for Texas 1 floor down."
that makes sense. That makes sense.
It's terrible.
I was just thinking about my son, Scott, one time. When he was fairly young, he said something about, we were on an elevator, and he said, "If you really are acting bad and it goes down, is it a elevator?" and I thought, yes. I'm not sure what I said, but I thought about it. Nothing to do with risk management.
You're on a roll, man. Keep going.
No. I'm good. I'm here to answer questions.
She's actually just here for stand-up comedy today.
Yes. I can do some more of that. No.
You went in front of the Sunset Commission yesterday, so I mean, this is a breeze, right?
Piece of cake. Yes.
So now I have 2 questions. What's the Sunset Commission?
Every 10 years, every state agency has to go through the sunset process, where they'll make a recommendation, and the legislature could take away the state agency, end it, no longer have it. The Real Estate Commission is up for sunset. And I had my meeting with them yesterday. Obviously, they always threaten you that you don't do anything of value, and we're going to end you, and all real estate license holders will then be licensed by the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation.
Those are the same people who do elevators, right?
Who do elevators, elevators, and beauticians and all kinds of things. So it's possible. And like Scott said, if you had your day yesterday with the Sunset Commission, you guys are nothing. Bring it.
So, silly question, and it happened. Made an offer on a property, and I put the wrong date for the closing date, and luckily the other guy caught it. What would happen if you execute a contract and it was supposed to close 3 days ago? It's just not valid, right?
I think you would be in trouble, yeah. Might be unenforceable, it might be invalid, it might be a clerical error that everybody could gently agree to change.
I think you'd have to go see Doc Brown from Back to the Future.
And there is that. That was easy. Okay.
I asked Scott about it yesterday, but I'm going to ask in case somebody else is in the same boat.
So Daddy said no?
Daddy said no.
Okay.
SAE classes, there's so many different schools out there, and obviously you check to make sure it's on the approved by track. But the classes that they offer in packages all are so different. Is there a place to verify that those are okay, or are any 30-hour courses okay?
If the school is approved and in good standing, I would think that their classes would be approved in good and good standing.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't know if there was a specific group to choose from. Okay.
They're vastly different.
Okay. Thanks.
You might ask some of your colleagues who have recently been through that process, where did you take your SAE? How did you feel about it? Did it give you the value that you wanted, or anything? Or you may not care, you may just want to get your SAE and move on. But how could you do it faster? You actually aren't supposed to be able to do it faster now. All of those controls should be in place. And maybe they are, maybe they're not.
They're not.
I was just looking at the vast
I mean,
price too. It's like ridiculous.
Yep. Anybody who has some input on that can see her after the meeting.
I'll put some input.
Okay.
I did the GRI classes, and I did them at the board in Williamson County, and yes, they're expensive. Has it been super valuable? Yes, it's been super valuable. Just the contact with other agents, the real life stories of things that have happened and could happen, changed my life. I mean, just really helpful. So.
Well, the reality is SAE was actually, with a little bit of forethought, was created so that GRI could qualify for it, because people on the education committee at the Real Estate Commission and people involved in education believe that the GRI classes are the best classes to take for your this part of your life in education. Now, do we force that? No. We just made it happen to be that it's 90 hours, and GRI happens to be 90 hours. Just saying. Yep.
2 birds, 1 stone.
Yeah. That it? I'm done? No more questions? See ya.
Was it me? I'm gonna use
But I
that.
have
No,
a
I'm just
question,
kidding.
not
I'm just kidding.
Risk management or
Okay.
specific for this. But does anyone have an insurance provider who is more willing to insure vacant homes?
Well,
Usually that's gonna be, I used to do insurance, that's usually gonna be an independent.
yeah. If
They have
you-
a variety of options.
He's talking about go to an independent insurance agent,
Like-
not to a captured agent. Like, don't go to a State Farm agent.
Like-
That's who I think she's with, I can't remember.
Like Goosehead, or Goosehead is independent.
Datey.
Datey is independent. My brother-in-law, Norell Insurance, is independent. I'm only saying that because if he ever watched this video, he'd kill me if I didn't say that. Her brother is independent as well. Find an independent agent, because what they need really is a different level of coverage than what most people have.
And the risk that they see is that it's not occupied, so if there was something going wrong, there's nobody there to catch it.
Stop it.
Right.
Correct.
All right, thank you.
Cool. Really, y'all didn't come with any questions? Wow.
Scott, do you have any questions?
I don't know, do you?
That was one.
Can you think of a scenario lately that I've had to deal with, Scott, that we should talk about?
You know, everyone's been pretty great lately.
You wanna
Yes.
talk about
Yeah, there you go.
my scenario,
No, again, your scenario?
the option
Another
period
one.
being up and all that stuff and what the effective.
Well, you tell the story.
Okay, so I have a listing in Manor, and just because you're a broker, no offense, doesn't mean you're not the smartest person. Or that you are the smart, whatever. Anyway.
There is no IQ test on the broker's license.
There you go. So we executed the contract on the 13th. We actually were almost executed prior to that. She didn't initial, the buyer did not initial page 3. And so I asked Avis, can we still execute? And she said, that's debatable. Quote, that's debatable. So I saw them a week later and showed them the house again, and she initialed the page and immediately, which I didn't mention to you, sent me an option check. After the option period had expired, she sent the earnest money, and being a very smart Harvard lawyer, she indicated that there was no consideration until the $10,000, which was a huge earnest money amount, $10,000 earnest money check was delivered. And so that became a point of contention. After that fact, without inspection, they said, okay, we're gonna back out. And the 2 reasons they cited were, one was it had to be approved by their board of directors, and the board said they didn't like the house across the street.
But it was written in an individual's name.
And it was written in an individual's name. And,
The smart lawyer.
yes, well, or the smart broker. So then, they also said, although the house wasn't inspected, the inspector did review the seller disclosure. They did review the seller disclosure and noted that the septic had not been serviced in 3 years, and so for those reasons, they wanted out. And I said, okay, that's fine, we're gonna keep the option, or the earnest money, the $10,000. And that became a huge, huge, huge debate, which ended up involving, thank goodness, Avis.
Well, I talked to the other broker, and I don't know this, haven't done any research, haven't Googled his name, but it would be my guess, based on our conversation, that he's a tenured professor at the University of Texas in some part of the arts, and has and oh, by the way, he has a real estate broker's license and helps a few friends occasionally. That'd be my guess. If I were to Google him, I might find that out, but just on the conversation that I had with him. And so when meanwhile, the Harvard lawyer had Googled my name, and she had said something in an email that I was copied in to her agent about, well, probably because of her position, she's not willing to take a strong stance on this. And what had actually happened is that the broker had called me several days before, and he said on his voicemail, I'm going to change the name to protect the whatever they are.
Dubious.
The dubious, yeah. Hi, this is Homer. Call me. 512 da 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 da. Boom. Well, let me just tell you, I don't call people like that back. I just don't do it because they're going to sell me something or attempt to, and I have to listen to their blah, 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 all that stuff. So I didn't call him because I didn't connect the dots between that broker's name and that message that I got. And ultimately I did because Tom brought it back to my attention through an email saying, I really wish you'd call this guy back. He supposedly has left you a bunch of messages. One message in which he did not. Now, in between that time that he left that message and the day that I found out about it, I happened to be in a meeting with a bunch of lawyers at the Real Estate Commission, and you know, we're currently reviewing our rules on how long you have to contact the other side when they leave you a message. Currently, not that anybody wants to wait this long, but currently the law says if you call me or a co-op broker calls me or a client calls me, I have 3 days to call you back. That seems like a long time to all of you, and maybe it is and maybe it isn't. I know y'all want me to call you back in 37 seconds. I understand that. But I have
36.
Okay, but I have 3 days. So I asked, because it was longer than 3 days when I discovered that that message I had had was really a broker, and I said to the lawyers, if there happened to be a complaint filed, which I didn't think there was, I just wanted to know, if I didn't know it was a broker and I received a message, would I be subject to sanction if I didn't return their call? And lawyers never agree, you know that? And they all said no, because that broker had an obligation to identify themselves as the broker.
We're supposed to do that for any call we make in real estate.
We are. So I just remind you of that.
Let me throw something in there too. As all this is going on, this person who said that she wanted to back out also said to me, when we find the right property, I'll use you as the buying agent, which made me feel really
Real weird.
uncomfortable because the broker, the dubious one, Homer, was calling. And then she started throwing, well, I'm a Harvard lawyer, and we're gonna have Harvard up your tailpipe so far, and all this stuff. And it was just nuts.
So her name was Marge, and they had a couple of sons named Bart and Lisa.
There you go.
So
Sunday, Lisa, that's weird.
That is weird. So anyway, when I talked to him, he was very genteel. He was very kind of out of it. And I suggested to him that since he didn't believe me, that the execution date on the contract, which says in the contract, that's what all days are tied to. Doesn't say anything about whether or not you brought us any earnest money or whether or not you stood on your head for 13 minutes or whatever. It just says once everybody has signed and initialed everything and you put the effective date on the contract, that's where all timelines begin to count. So I said, in case that you don't want to believe the contract or you don't want to believe me, how about just to give you some cover with your buyer, I send you some FAQs from the Texas Association of Realtors website and the Texas Real Estate Commission's website. So I got on those two websites, which you can do, and looked at their FAQs and found everything about effective date and cut and pasted it into an email and sent it to him. And all of it said exactly what you know, that the day that everybody signs and initials everything, whichever agent is in control of it at that time puts the effective date on it, and that's when everything starts counting, that day. All the initials, all the signatures were back to that deal about one missing initial. That's been litigated lots of times, and it goes different ways. So one missing initial
So
probably will not get you in that much trouble, and yet we're going to force you to do it all. Yes?
So originally it was like about the 6th, and so we took the conservative approach. We'll go ahead and show it as executed on the 13th. All of that, and then it just became nasty. Well,
Yeah.
So now both sides are disputing who gets the $10,000, and good news for me, I've got somebody bringing a full price offer, so assuming that happens, then the 10,000 will go back, because otherwise there's a cloud on title, and we live happily ever after, but.
Are you the listing agent?
I'm the listing agent. One thing that I think was communicated in the email was, when it's executed, that needs to be,
Communicated.
communicated back to the other people. Well, she said, Tom never communicated that with me, and yet I have the check, the option check dated the 13th, and, in that conversation.
What is the definition of communicated back?
Well, email, a text, a phone call, in some way say to the other side, we've signed it, we're done, today's the effective date.
Do they have to acknowledge it?
No.
Here's the
There you go.
You have to be able to prove that you did it, though.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's, thank goodness for dot.
And if you're dealing with,
Yeah.
dot loop will work for you in that case. And if it doesn't, the old-fashioned way is to do all of those things. Call them, text them, email them. All three. Leave them a message. What?
Show up at their house.
Oh, show up at their house, yeah.
Hire a PI. No, I'm just kidding.
So, yeah, fun stuff. Yes, ma'am?
Can you shed some clarity on intermediary and how it works with an inspection report?
Yes, I can.
Oh, there you go. There's another Tom.
Is this a Tom thing?
Yeah.
Aren't you glad you have Tom so you don't have to learn this the hard way?
This
Yeah,
is the Tom show.
the Tom show.
Be here to sign autographs.
Okay, everybody in this room who is licensed, I'm your broker, right? We all know that. Even if you have a broker's license, you have made a decision by contract to affiliate with me. So if I have an inspection report, that means if any one of you gets an inspection report, that means I have it. That's what the law says. Whether you send it to me or not, please don't. I have it. That means if one of our agents is representing the buyer, they have it. You can't refuse it. You can't deny it. We have it. If it's an intermediary transaction, the inspection goes to everyone, period, end of story, no debate.
Before or after negotiating any repairs that are included in it?
It's got to be in their position.
But I never opened the email.
It doesn't matter.
What if it's an intermediary without appointments?
It doesn't matter.
Same thing.
But I said don't give it to me.
That, you can't do it. Can't do it in an intermediary. Cannot do
I've got
that.
another question about that then. So intermediary has to be two parties, right?
It could be only one of you. It could be you representing both sides. That means it's even worse. Yes, it's got to be given to the buyer. Or it can be the two of you. One has a buyer, one has a seller. He has the seller. You have the buyer. He has to have it because I have it because I'm your broker and his broker. That's the law. Hey, Heather.
Okay, so what was communicated in the legal class, or at least what I understood, legal 1 or 2, whatever it was that.
Is this the same class you sent me like 3 texts about? You must have had a bad instructor. So go ahead.
What she said was, in order for there to be an intermediary, there has to be 3 parties somehow. And so that's obvious, that can't be true based on the
No,
That's not
it's
true.
without appointment.
That's not true. Well, certainly it's 3 counting me if there's 2 people, but it can be 2 people because it could be you with both the buyer and the seller and me because I am the intermediary. You're not. I am the intermediary. Yes, ma'am.
So what if, like when I had my own brokerage and I had nobody with me,
You could only represent,
one side or the other,
you couldn't do intermediary.
right, so how did, I mean, not that I'm ever gonna do that again, but how does?
Again?
Well, hey. I
She's
had
already done it
2 months
once.
on my own.
Yeah, there you go.
But what do you do when you come across that if, I don't know, this is just kind of a question. If I were to do that again, and I have the listing, I bring the buyer to the listing, so now I have the seller, I have the buyer, so there's no representation, how would you do the paperwork on that? There's no representation.
I'd be real careful and I'd call a lawyer.
Davis.
I'm not a lawyer. I am not a lawyer.
I'll always take referrals.
Just curious.
Not worth it. It's not worth it. I don't care what's the highest commission you ever made. One lawsuit's not worth it. Then you. Yes,
What
ma'am.
about Round Rock?
Same deal, because I'm the broker there too. Yes, ma'am.
What about on buyers that are purchasing homes and they've never seen the home, but we're writing up their offer
Is this an intermediary question or just a question in general?
Intermediary.
I think that you will want to put something, have some writing that says they've never seen the home and they're going to buy it anyway or something. Because, you know, we almost got crossways with a buyer on a house in a Round Rock office where the husband came to town and the wife didn't. That's kind of always a bad thing. And he picked a house. And when she got here, they were closed, and she didn't like it. And that was our fault. You understand?
Yeah, of course.
Even though our agent had videoed the house, had sent her videos, videoed the walkthrough and sent it to her.
Did
You
they
know,
write in the contract upon wife's approval?
I don't remember.
No, I mean, just sometimes.
Yeah, I don't remember.
She's seeing videos though, and so she actually has to physically see it?
No. It didn't go to a lawsuit. It was a threat that they were going to sue us.
And I'm
well,
sure
I
it
should
was
say.
a doghouse.
I'm sure. Well, it was a pretty pricey place.
No, meaning the
It
husband was in the doghouse for a long time.
I see.
Get it?
For it may not have been long enough for me to affirmatively say we're not going to be sued, but it's been a while, so I don't think we're going to be sued. But I don't know what the case would be because we've got a lot of lay down information.
I mean, she's closed and she was part of the whole process.
Yeah, she just didn't see the house, but then she went after she got here. She decided she didn't like it.
I think that's her husband.
Yeah, if anybody can-
Absolutely, it's her problem,
Absolutely.
and it's okay. Yeah, Carrie, I would get something in writing about it being not seen in person. Yes, ma'am.
Going back to the
Just to cover your, you know what. Yes.
intermediary with us at Round Rock, I've had Round Rock agents argue with me that we are not intermediary, and I have
Yeah, we are.
assured them that we are. But
Well, hopefully that will be changing as we have changed staff in Round Rock because we had some problems with compliance with our previous Round Rock staff.
So on the
'Cause this doesn't go out everywhere,
no.
right? Okay.
So on the it's actually being broadcast in the Round Rock office right now.
Okay.
No, on the
That's a good idea, actually.
Yeah, there we
I'm
go.
sorry, go ahead.
So on the last page, on the page of the contract where the intermediary portion's being filled out, if it's between Round Rock and Georgetown, is the best practice to write Keller Williams Realty and then both office license numbers, or your personal license
No,
number?
it's not my personal license number. Yeah, both office numbers.
That's what I've been telling people to do.
I'd have to
So
look at the contract.
486-695/9004001.
Say it again.
Yes.
Wait a
Round Rock's
minute.
license number is 486-695, and our license number is 9004001.
Are y'all making stuff up now?
So up there,
Okay, how do I make that bigger right there?
down there, yeah. So the listing broker firm,
Right there.
yeah. So both license numbers in that last portion. Okay.
and
But that's-
Georgetown is the 9004001.
Yes.
Yeah, but don't get bogged down on that.
Yeah.
Just put something that makes it clear. Round Rock and Georgetown, or Georgetown and Round Rock, or whatever. This is information. This is not a term of the contract. This is just information. I mean, it's important information, but it's not, like the license number is not, nobody's going to go crazy except maybe Mary Fitek. She'll get over it.
So, just to be clear, so intermediary only takes place like within our,
This
Georgetown,
office in Round Rock.
not Cedar Park,
No.
Keller Williams, or anybody like
No,
that?
I'm only the broker for these two.
Do you want another one?
No. Well, of my own choosing. Not one someone has already screwed up. This is not being, yeah.
Actually, Gary's watching now. So.
Okay. Kelly. I've told this story in the room before, or in that other room, and some of you have heard this, but this one kind of scared me. I read the agreed order from the commission Sunday on this one. It was another Keller Williams office, and a buyer was buying a very high-end property, and the earnest money was $15,000, and they had inspections done, and the buyer just gave notice to their agent that they were going to back out during the option period, and the agent failed to give notice. This is not an intermediary. Failed to give notice to the seller side that the buyer was backing out. Failed to execute the documents and send it. And so the agent and the broker, rather than saying, oh my God, I'm so sorry, here's your money, said, not our problem. So they filed a complaint and a civil suit. And so the complaint at the commission level found them wrong, hello, and they were fined some quantity of money that I don't remember at this time. And I believe, based on having conversations with that office, that they have settled that for something more than $15,000 now. And I mean, any time that you get caught in that situation is horrible, but that one is really stupid in my head, because that's a very, very simple thing to remember. You should be very careful not to mess that up. And yet, it could happen. Yeah. Yeah. So what's those time deadlines? Yes. Oh, is that no, you're just working. She's just scratching her head. I thought it's like I'm an auctioneer. Yes. No. Sort of feeling like that today. Okay. I'm so proud of this room.
Aren't you glad nobody asked when the new office was going to be done?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Well, if we go under contract on the next one now, it'll be finished in like 5 years, right?
Well, start looking for some land. I mean, that's what we need to do, is start getting ready for the next one.
Might as well take that long.
That's right.
Why don't you just go up?
No, yeah.
It took keep in mind, it took us 7 months to get 7 windows approved. Adding a whole new story, I mean, it'd take like 7 years, so.
No. So one of our agents, it may have been one of y'all, I can't remember who it was, had we got this worked out, but it had a buyer from a brand new agent. I don't think they're in Georgetown, but the house was in the old part of Georgetown, and it needed a whole bunch of work. And in the remarks, our agent said something like, this is an old house and it needs a lot of work, and we're not sure when it was built, because there's a plaque on the house that says some date, and there's, all this stuff is in the remarks, and then they backed out and wanted their option money and their earnest money back. And I was trying to figure that out, because the reason was they didn't know because it was older. Because the plaque said it was older than the tax records, they were going to have to do a whole lot more work to get the remodeling done. Clearly, this person has no idea that it doesn't matter when your house was built in certain parts of Georgetown. It's going to take a whole lot of effort, 7 windows, 7 months, to get anything done through the city of Georgetown. We finally got that resolved this week by simply sending the other agent the MLS printout showing the remarks that she was incapable of reading prior to writing a contract.
Isn't that amazing how they don't ever see what's written?
They don't.
It's
Yep.
crazy.
So, thanks. Hey, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kind of nice.
Kinda. All right, well, we're just going to hop straight into it. How many of you guys saw that Gary Keller spoke at Inman about 2 weeks ago? Did you watch it?
Yes.
Okay, well, we're going to watch it again, because I think it's super important information that you guys need to hear to see how passionate he is about our company and the direction that we're going. So it's about 38 minutes, and then I'm going to go into exactly what I sent you all a text and a Facebook message about yesterday about what would happen if there was a disappearing cap. So let's just take it away, Gary. This is kind of a funny interview, too, because Brad Inman, pay attention to this, asks Gary to sit down several times, and just listen to Gary's responses when he says that. Uh-oh.
Where are we sitting? Is that okay? All right. Oh, do you want to be near here? Here. Gary brought his flip chart. I did. It's a special one. So, Dr. Slido, ask our wonderful audience one word to describe Gary Keller, and then time for you and I to chat. By the way, be sure my wife is getting in on that. Yeah, well, you got plenty of fans there. Yeah. thank you very much for doing this.
You're more than welcome.
The enthusiasm by our audience. Some love you, some aren't so sure, and a few don't know you. But
I feel the same way.
Yeah, exactly. Let's start with that, actually, and then you're going to kind of share your vision like Kalia did.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be really interesting to the crowd. But who is Gary Keller? Just give us a little.
Oh, wow.
know.
Okay.
By the way, you're a leader, innovative, and a visionary, according to our audience.
Wow. How do you? I don't want to waste time talking about that. What do you want to know about me?
Well, what's one thing? Is it true you're going to put realtor on your gravestone?
Yes.
Wow, that's pretty powerful. That says a
Well,
lot.
someone asked me once, professionally, right, what I wanted to my legacy, and I said I want to die being a realtor. I want it to say on my headstone I was a realtor. I have a degree in real estate, right? Got out of college in the late 70s, was one of the first people to have a degree in it, was a broker at 21, and I've never gotten out, right?
So you love real estate, right?
Yeah, I sold six houses my first month in a city I'd only been in once. By the time
Right.
I was 26, I was a vice president of a large real estate company in my market. No, I love this business.
Yeah.
It's a great business.
And let's now jump into lay out. I think my question to you on this one is lay out where you think it's going, because we got competing theories on the future that we're going to really bear down on the next couple of days, and I think yours is important. And we got you a couple magic markers. We got an eraser.
Awesome.
And we got a film crew that's going to zoom in on it so that they
can do this so you can see it.
And we're going to put a clock on you, gang in the back of 10 minutes.
15.
10. 10. Okay. But you're going to talk for 45. It's just 10 on this part.
Yeah, so the question you asked me was, where's the industry going?
Yeah, exactly.
And so I thought about that, and I kind of want to diagram it, and then we can talk through that.
Let's do it.
So if you think about any business out there, right, there's three paths it can go. It can go this way, it can go this way, and it can go that way, right? So there's three phases to building a business in any industry. There's this phase, and then there's one of those three.
And is that an individual business or the industry?
This is a business inside of an industry.
Okay, gotcha.
So what happens is you have this period of what I would say trial and error.
Yeah.
So businesses start, business go out of business, go into business. They try all kind of things, and at some point, the people that have made it get to this point. And at that moment in history, and it shows up for every business, this is where the real innovation occurs.
Where is Compass and EXP? Are they in that first big circle?
Well,
I don't mean to throw you.
No, you didn't at all. By the way, no one's in the circle yet.
No one's in the circle.
So I just had to think about that for a second.
I'm not in the circle? Damn.
But you can be in the circle.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to put Brad right there. You're in the circle.
Hey!
No, by the way, no, I believe that every firm, whether they've been in business for a year, 5 years, 10 years, 100 years, I think all of us are right there.
Gotcha.
So when I talk about, and I've made the statement that in February, I got on stage and said that in the next year you won't recognize the real estate industry, I wasn't kidding. And what's interesting is the amount of change that we're all feeling is real and palpable. Yeah, and it's happening. That's going to accelerate right there. So let me explain what I mean by this.
You're saying this stuff, we're just in the first inning. It's coming.
Nothing's happened yet.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, go ahead.
Nothing's happened. I'm serious about that. Nothing's happened, but it's fixing to happen.
Yeah.
Okay? It's fixing to happen. So let's ask what causes that. Okay? So what causes that is we started out with in the world with hardware, right? Hardware was invented. And at some point, you had software to run the hardware, right? One of the most interesting decisions in the world is that IBM, who created the hardware, decided not to own the software. And they gave one of the greatest deals of all time to Bill Gates and Paul Allen to own the software, right? Yeah. So then all of a sudden, at some point, you're using your hardware, your phone, and you're using software, and you get this offer to buy a data plan because you were out of space.
Right.
So someone came up with the idea of how about if, and they call it the cloud, how about if we just string computers together and we put all your data there so you can access it from any technology hardware that you want to use, right? Yep. Okay. Well, here's the interesting thing about that. That's a commodity. For about $1,000 or less, I can buy a piece of hardware, I can buy a piece of software or multiple softwares, and I can buy a data service, and I'm in business, right? Yes. Okay. That's a commodity. What's changing the world today, and it's called the Fourth Industrial Revolution. And that is...
Anyone who put teacher or professor up in their one-word description?
Is data powered by artificial intelligence. That's it. Yeah. So everything that we have, anything that's been invented by any of us prior to what's coming, has all been, the industry's all been about this. The latest gadget, the latest idea, the latest thing. Cool. That's great. That's what that is, by the way. But this right here, big data that is being powered by artificial intelligence, that. And by the way, it doesn't matter what industry you're in. It doesn't matter if you're in real estate. This applies to all industries. By the way, the medical profession, the legal profession, the architecture profession, any profession you want to name is at this moment. And the reason is because, you know, you have two worlds that we live in. The first one is the physical world, and the second one is the digital world. And what happens is everybody who's physically based, all their businesses, they wake up and the fatal question they say is, what's the least I have to do in the digital world to protect what I currently have physically? The challenge is that the people who are in the digital space wake up every morning and they say, what's the least I have to do physically to kick your physical butt?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So this is the battle. The battle is over big data, okay, powered by artificial intelligence. So let's look at the real estate industry.
You should sign that, Gary, because some people will pay me.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
I'm a capitalist.
Okay, so let's look at the real estate industry real quick and why we feel this change going on, Brad. Industry starts out as real estate agent. At some point, we have the tech-enabled real estate agent, okay? MLS being a good example of that. Technology enabling the real estate agent. Does that make sense?
Where does the MLS come in? I'm confused.
It's the technology that enables agents to do their jobs.
The MLS.
MLS is an example of where technology showed up to enable the agent, okay? And then the next thing is all of a sudden we have this thing, and it's called the agent-enabled tech. Got it?
And what's that?
Well, okay. And then, by the way, the fourth would be the prediction that someday you just have tech. Well, the interesting thing is that will never happen, and that ship has sailed.
Right.
So you can literally take our industry and put it in a box like this and say, you're going to be one of two people. You're either going to be an agent who is enabled by tech, or you're going to be the agent that is enabling the tech.
Right.
Now, here's this interesting. So now let's talk about...
Let me just bring it down a little bit. Tell me exactly what that means. What's the difference?
Well, the agent is the fiduciary here,
right,
and the tech is the fiduciary there. So this is a battle over who's going to be the fiduciary.
So that might be...
Who's the rock star in the experience?
So it might be smart contracts, all the tech taking care of that stuff that used to be the fiduciary?
We'll get there in just a second, that's right. So let's now list these. So
running out of time, that's what I'm worried about.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
No. No, we're not.
I love this guy. If you saw our email banners, you would just think...
No, we're not, because when you invited me, you said I could do what I wanted.
No, you're doing a good job.
Okay, good.
Touche, I love that.
You did. I have the email.
Okay, you're losing.
We'll post it. Yeah, I love you. You're awesome. All right. So, by the way, Realtor.com started that whole mess, okay? And then we have Zillow. You have Trulia. We can throw Redfin into that. We can throw Purple Bricks into that. We can throw Open Door into that. We can throw OfferPad into that. Pretty much all the people that Inman News worships. No, I love Brad, and I mean, he knows I love him. But we're
because they're really smart people, Gary.
Well, okay, and they're not okay, whatever.
But you're losing.
So here,
you're losing me on this.
Okay, hang on a second.
Agent-enabled tech. You're saying all of these players on the right have agents,
Well, they're agent enabling tech.
But they're
so
all tech-driven companies, correct?
I will tell you that every one of these companies have agents because they have to, not because they want to.
Gotcha.
These are not agent-centric businesses. If they could do it without, if Glenn Kelman could run Redfin without agents, he'd do it in a heartbeat. And if he tells you otherwise, he's lying. Okay?
Well, he'll be here in an hour to defend.
Well, I'll be happy to stay. But I'm just telling you that he's in that category. Okay? Absolutely. Yeah. Love it. And he loves that category. But that's who he is. Okay? You with me? So the reason why you and I get off to rocky starts at times
that's all right.
is because I'm over here.
You're over there.
I'm over here.
Right.
Yeah, I work for the real estate agent. I have my whole life. I'll go to my grave on my gravestone saying that. Yep, yeah. So, well, I'm not going to get there too soon. So let's, right? So if you look over here, when Inman, and I love what you do, by the way. I wouldn't have come here if I didn't appreciate you. I really wouldn't have. I just said, kiss my ass, I'm not coming.
Yeah.
And I didn't say that.
Yeah, no, you didn't.
No, I didn't. But
it took a while to persuade you.
Well, it did because people that work with me are more important than people that don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I get paid to help certain people. And
well, we're grateful you're here, and I want you to sit down with me so I can chat you up.
Okay, hang on. So here's where the challenge comes in, and that is when and I'm not picking on you, by the way, but because I read pretty much everything that's written through your news service, so I want to respect that. The reason why you and I get crosswise at times is because you represent these guys as the disruptors. Over here, the articles are already 3 ways to have a better open house. 4 ways, these are going to kick your ass and change the world. 5 ways to list FSBOs. Right? This, go back and check and you'll see it. But this absolutely treats these individuals as if they're not disruptors, as if they work for this group. Now here's another interesting fact about this group. Let's put every one of these groups, I can put the aggregators over here, and they want to reduce the agent's income by at least 30% or more, right? So if
they want to do what?
Reduce their income. So the real estate agent, if they do business with these guys, they're going to operate at about a 2% approximate commission.
But if they
were charging
but hold
3,
on, Gary. If they deliver volume of transactions,
well,
they
be
make
careful
up for the difference.
You need to be careful with that because you're talking to the guy who wrote the book on it.
Yeah, but you got 100,000 agents.
No. I'm going to give you a number here, 10%. If you're spending more than 10 of your gross income for leads.
Yeah.
I wrote a book, and right?
Yeah.
Okay. There isn't anyone that understands
this. How many in the audience think Gary's book applies as much today as it did when he wrote it? Say yes. And how many think it doesn't apply quite as much as he did when he wrote it? Let's just see what the people.
Well, here's the interesting thing about that. So we sit down.
That's for Dr. Slido. Did you get that, Dr. Slido?
Okay, so we sat down a year ago to write the MREA updated version, right?
Right.
Here's what we found out. Everything that's in that book is 100% accurate today, except for the actual numbers.
Well, we want to ask the audience if they agree with you.
Well,
Dr. Slido, are you on this? How many think Gary's book is as relevant today as it was when he wrote it, and how many think it is not?
One caveat: you have to put your income down by your answer.
Okay, well,
because I will tell you that anybody who would say that it's not relevant today are your least earning people.
My audience has a higher income than your community, Gary, because they paid a lot to come here. But anyway.
Okay. So here's my point to you. My point is that I'm absolutely the leading expert.
We're going to be friends when this is all over.
Oh, of course. I like your shoes.
Hey, Dr. Slido, how are we doing?
Okay.
Dr. Slido.
Okay, time out. Now, you're taking my time by asking some guys, so stop that.
It's a conversation, Gary.
Okay. So here's the thing. That's the cost for a lead. If you're spending more than that, you better have good justification. You with me?
Yep.
Now, that's just what the research says. And I spend all my time, this is what I do, by the way. Now, you get into this group, these guys want that commission to be 1 to 2% as well, correct? Redfin?
Redfin, okay.
Yeah. Purple Bricks wants it to be maybe 1% to 1.5% max. Open Door will pay you 1%. OfferPad will pay you 1%. This is why you feel the way you feel about change, is because all of that group wants tech to be the rock star and wants the agent to be the functionary.
Let me just ask you one question, Gary. And
And it doesn't have to be like that.
you spread this thing, which I think the industry's been good at, which is fear, which is they wake up every morning maliciously trying to go after the real estate industry.
Well,
and I don't, you meet with,
it's
you've cut deals with Zillow, you've cut deals with Realtor.com. I know for a fact you met with the disruptors. You'll cut a deal with anyone on their behalf. So if they were that malicious, why would you let them into your office, right? I mean, you have a deal with Zillow, correct?
Do I?
I presume you do. I
don't think I do.
You have no deal with Zillow.
What's my deal?
To protect the listings from having...
Oh, no, they bought that agreement with Dotloop. I didn't sign a deal with Zillow.
So you have no deal with Zillow?
No. Why would
you don't do business with any of these people?
Why would I do business? What do I do with Zillow?
Okay.
I don't have listings.
I've heard through the grapevine, obviously, we don't publish it because...
No, I have an agreement with Dotloop that they can't use our data.
Right.
Now, Zillow's come back to us, and they're now asking that we give them their data. They just recently asked for that. And what was my answer?
Your agents are sitting across the table from Redfin. They're spending money on Zillow. These are smart people that are investing in things. They're not that stupid, are they? Gary, you got to sit down. Come on, just sit down.
Yeah, I'm going to do one more thing.
Okay, really quick. This is Barry Diller did this to me, Barbara Corcoran.
No.
They are people that can take the stage away from Brad Inman. But
No,
it's fine.
I'm not trying to do that.
I'm very relaxed and comfortable.
So the last thing I'll say then is this, and that is, so that's the challenge.
Yeah.
So the real estate agent gets to vote with their feet. So by the way, this group, if this group doesn't own its tech, it's going to succumb to that group.
Gotcha.
That's my point.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah, if you put someone between you and the customer, and you let technology get between you and the customer, here's an interesting number for you. $1 billion. That's the amount of money that we surveyed and we estimate that our own real estate agents spend on technology outside of Keller Williams. $1 billion, Brad.
But
I don't get paid a fraction of that.
But historically, the industry's paid $12 to $15 billion for advertising, whether they gave it to the Chicago Tribune, or they gave it to billboards, or they gave it to bus signs, or whether they gave it to Zillow. That money, so $1 billion, I mean, they're spending, they've always spent billions marketing, haven't they? Didn't you always spend money in marketing?
This is not marketing dollars.
Yeah.
These are operational dollars. I didn't say...
So I'm sorry, do it again. So I missed...
On software.
Oh, in software. They're spending $1 billion.
And the reason why the software vendors don't like me today is I'm literally taking that spend to zero.
Yeah.
My goal is to reclaim $1 billion.
But aren't you going to sell technology to your agent? Isn't that part of your business model?
Not $300 a year.
What? But that's $300 a year. Times 150.
Well, compared to Sync, that would charge the same amount to an agent, anywhere from 18 to 100. I've got agents in the audience that spend $300,000 a year on technology alone.
Yeah.
By the way, in about 3 months, they'll be spending that much. $300.
Come sit down with me.
So last thing. So here's the issue. So when we talk about, that's the last thing. You're getting an education. It's good for you. Well, here's the thing is when I stood up and said that we were becoming a technology company, man, I took a beating from everybody. I thought I was a dumbass.
Yeah. Well, you said it, and no one knew exactly what you were building.
Well, I didn't want them to know.
Yeah. But it was quite a declaration. I'm spending $1 billion in technology. You would automatically...
Okay, so if I let someone build my technology for me, what do I own?
Say it again.
If I let someone, let me ask you a question. Does Amazon own their software, or do they buy it from Fidelity?
They own it.
Does Amazon own their software, or do they buy it from pick a company?
I don't know. You tell me. I don't know.
You know the answer.
Well, I assume they do.
Amazon owns their software. Facebook owns their software. Yes?
Yeah.
Netflix owns their software, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So why would we tell the real estate agent, don't own your software? Or don't let your company you're in partnership with, why would we tell them not to own it? That's a dumbass statement, man. That you're literally heading them to the slaughterhouse. Not you, because you don't say that. But I'm saying anyone who says that is literally leading the real estate agent by the nose.
Now would you sit down with me? I asked you as a gentleman.
I know you did, but I haven't finished.
Come on, Gary, sit down with me.
No. We got one more thing. So here's what changes the world. So there's a difference between software and platforms. Our industry doesn't really understand this, okay? And that is, if you want to build an innovation engine, Brad, in order to build a platform that you can innovate on top of technology, the first thing is you have to build a cloud service. Now, this isn't a cloud service like I was talking about. This is an industry-specific cloud service. How long does it take to build an industry-specific cloud service? About 2 to 3 years. That's what Google tells me. That's about how long it took us to do it. About 2 to 3 years. Okay? Second thing, and by the way, you have to have, in order to make it significant, you have to have the data. So tomorrow morning, if EXP announced that they were going to build a cloud service, you'd say, well, that's good, but where's the data? You don't have any data. Okay, but if they had the data and they were going to build a cloud service, it would take them 3 years. If Compass today said, we don't have a cloud service, but we're going to do it, and they don't have one, by the way, but if they said they were going to do it, it's going to take them 2 to 3 years. You with me? Okay, here's the problem with that. The problem with that 2 to 3 year time frame is it's happening right now. If you don't already have it, you're in second place. Okay? Now, here's the other thing, and that is you have to have artificial intelligence. Why? So here's a good example. So let's just think about this for a second. Let's say that you have an agent software and you have real estate company software. So in the real estate company software, we have all the data on production of everybody in the business, right? So then we have the agent. So tomorrow morning, the agent goes out and they take a listing. But because all the data on days on market, price to sell ratios, all that's down here, the second the agent takes the listing, artificial intelligence sends a ping to them and says, for a home in that price range in this neighborhood, you should use smart plan number 12 with these attributes. Would you like us to execute it? If the agent clicks yes, the whole plan is initiated in an instant over a 12-week period. Okay?
Great, let's throw out some questions to the audience. Can we use Dr. Slido?
That was his way of getting control.
No,
yeah, it was.
That's great. No, I learned a lot, Gary.
Yeah.
Dr. Slido, whatever we need to do for you all to submit questions, and then we'll get some of those questions up. I think they'll pop up right here, and we can answer whatever.
So here's the challenge.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to educate you.
Yeah,
so
no,
the problem
I'm
is,
educated.
Well, the point is that everything that we're dealing with today around software is bolt-on technology.
Yeah.
I read the latest article you just wrote, you published yesterday, and it said, here's the 3 rules for technology.
Yeah. What did we say?
Well, number 1, you said it needs to talk to each other.
Yeah.
Right?
Is that a good thing?
Well, how are you going to, if you don't have that, it's not going to talk to each other. So when I read that article, I went, jeepers, you should have taken a poll by Dr. Slidell or whatever and asked them how much, whatever, how much of their technology is going to actually talk to each other. Brad, it doesn't talk. We have agents out there.
I talked to a consultant yesterday, and his whole business is to work with broker owners on integration.
Just call me. Integration, if you do that,
exactly.
It's integrated.
I'm agreeing with you, Gary. Slow down. And the fact that we'd even need an industry to help integration shows that we have a problem. So what are we asking? Any questions from the audience? Oh, here we go. Will you own, here's a KW agent, will you own my data as a KW agent? In other words, will you own his data? Or
Yeah, we'll own them with them.
With them?
Sure.
So this whole confusion about data ownership, you'll own it with them.
Well, someone's got to own it.
Yeah.
In other words, whoever owns that cloud service and that artificial intelligence is going to own that data. Now, here's the question I'd have you for that person.
Yeah.
Someone's going to own it. Would you rather a real estate company that has a history of being the most agent-centric on the planet, right? Here's another number for you, $1 billion in profit sharing paid out. Now, I'll invite anyone in this room who's paid out $1 billion to their people in a profit share program.
Are you still doing that, by the way?
Why wouldn't
I mean, that's core to your program, right?
Yeah.
Profit sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and is that still driving your growth the same as it has?
I wouldn't think so.
Now, what is driving it now? Community?
Technology.
Technology? They're coming to you for technology.
Yeah, so here's another number for you, $6 billion, and that's the amount of productive volume that joined Keller Williams in the first 90 days of
Let
2018.
me ask you this. Do you feel like this has been going for 22 years? We've been talking about robots for 5 years here, 10 years. We've been talking about all the things you have up on that board. Why is it? Were you a little late to the game too?
I'm not, no, there's a difference between late and too late.
Timely. You were timely.
Well, actually, I think we showed, no, I actually think we're the only one on time.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to see that in the next couple of months.
Now you told me backstage you're launching something later this year. Tell the crowd what that is.
Well, we don't launch things.
Okay.
So again, I'm going to get back to this point right here. The challenge that you have is if you haven't already built an innovation platform,
Yeah.
you're 2 to 3 years late. And the battle is going to be over the consumer.
Yeah.
So one last thing. Just think about this. So if we think about the consumer, and we think about, by the way, if you want to be Netflix, number one, you have to own your software. Number two, you have to build an end-to-end consumer experience, right? That's personalized as you use it, right? If you go to your Netflix account, mine does not look like yours. If I go to my Amazon page, mine doesn't look like yours, right? Okay, so that's interesting to point that out because if you think about the consumer experience as voyeurism to search to consideration to close to ownership, and we put those in buckets, you realize that voyeurism in search is the only thing that actually is out there today for the consumer.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, we don't have online transaction yet,
Right.
though we will by the end of the year. And oh, by the way, we don't have ownership, which we'll have that. So imagine an app, just as an example, just imagine an app for the consumer that in real time, the second they use it, it begins using artificial intelligence to just like Netflix or anything else, to personalize the experience in real time.
Yeah.
Imagine that it says, at a closing table, you say, Brad, now that you've bought a home, would you like to refinance if you can save money? Yes. Okay. So I'm just going to click yes, and you don't have to do anything. By the way, if rates change and you can save money, you're going to get an alert, and it's going to say, would you like to refinance? Now, because we own a mortgage company and we don't charge origination fees or closing costs, the mortgage industry hates me. Too bad. Okay? We don't charge any of that. We don't charge you any of that. It's free. Just click it and we'll refinance your home. That's what's coming.
At what point?
And by the way, that's the battle.
Before you go.
The battle is not over search.
Yeah.
That's going to be a commodity.
Here we got a question. At what point do you care about the consumer experience versus the agent experience? Or do you leave that to the agent?
Well, no, I care about the agent. I care about the agent's consumer experience.
And do you feel like your technology is enabling the agent to create a better consumer experience, or do you actually?
Yeah, that's the whole point.
Are you ever going to go direct to the
Well,
consumer?
here's the thing about it. No, why would I do that?
Okay.
No, I don't have buyers or sellers. No. If you think about it this way, just think about it this way. The consumer is the agents. But if the whole world is moving towards the phone being the remote control of their life, right? Then the agent's going to have that tool. If the agent doesn't have that tool to offer an end-to-end consumer experience, how are they going to service?
So you're obsessed by the agent getting the tools to serve the consumer. That's really your vision.
Well, let me ask you a question. How long after you wake up in the morning do you go to your phone?
Really quick, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I didn't.
No, we all do.
Yeah.
No, we all do. So it's the remote control.
Kind of sick, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah, but it's where we are.
Does EXP scare you? Does anyone scare you, Gary?
No.
Yeah?
No, because, no, they don't.
That was the wrong way to phrase the question.
No, think about this. When I started Keller Williams, I built an innovation engine. So here's a good example. You bring up EXP, great example.
By the way, Glenn speaks so highly of you. He thinks you're a genius.
Love it. Great. Good for him. I appreciate it. And I don't care, right? So think about it this way. When we created the profit share program, this is what everyone missed. We created a leadership council. We assigned the decision making of the firm to that council. So we profit share today. If our agents want to change that to something else, they can.
Right.
They can vote and change it. Here's an interesting tidbit of information.
So they come together on a regular basis?
When we first started sharing money, we didn't profit share. We actually shared the money. Off the top, you sell a house, we wrote a check. That has problems.
that formula.
3 years into doing that, it started showing real problems. And so we ultimately voted and changed it to profit sharing.
So you're saying that's what EXP does now, and they're gonna run into problems.
What I'm saying is they're same with Exit, same with all the other copycats. That at the end of the day, they think they've reinvented something that's broken. But here's the interesting thing.
Remember, that's flattery when people copy you.
Listen, I have no problem with that. And when people disagree with me, it just means that I'm ahead.
Yeah.
I don't worry about that. I honestly don't worry about that.
What about that agent count, EXP? That's you guys have been sitting there wringing your hands a little bit.
Why are we talking about them?
Well, they're just part of the scene, and we got a question from the audience.
Not really. Well, not really. I mean, at the end of the no. We're captains of our own.
I don't want to obsess on it. Let's move on.
Okay.
Let me ask you this: leadership. You are known as a leader in the industry.
Okay.
Think about in your 30 years, has the role of the leader changed? Like, how's leadership changed from say 30 years exactly?
Well, I think the industry's changed, and that is that today. You can say the before technology and the after technology era. Prior to technology becoming an absolute imperative for our industry, training, coaching, consulting, right? That was the value proposition that we provided real estate agents.
And that's how you make your money, right?
Well, we became the #1 training company in the world. We built the #1 coaching company inside the real estate industry. Dude, we did that. Here's the problem is that used to be 100% of the conversation. And we woke up about 3 years ago and went, we're not going to stop doing that. That's no longer what will protect our people. Technology and owning that technology and putting technology that works in their hands is the only thing that we're focused on.
But that doesn't mean the agents don't still need it, but you'll be giving it to them in a different way. Like I presume your training is going more AI and using technology and not one-on-one, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's exactly right.
Let me go back to Clea's theory. She said, she compared it to Wall Street, and she said the digital transaction for part of the deals.
By the way, one comment, and we won't talk about this again about EXP.
No, that's all right.
What I found fascinating.
Remember, I didn't bring it back there.
No, they did. But that's okay. No, I just want to point out one thing, and that is, I went back and looked, and there was a group of leaders there that used to be with Keller Williams. I went back and looked, and we paid those leaders over $1 million last year. So I was wondering publicly, since they think we're broken, if they would just renounce that money.
There you go. By the way, in fairness, Glenn will be on this stage to explain his business model.
Cool.
Let's go back to Clea, because I'm curious and I got this, a different vision, a different way of looking at it. But she says a digital transaction for part of the deals, meaning much like E-Trade. The middle would be Charles Schwab, people and agents, but an agent with a different role. And the third will be more relationship driven. She's kind of saying 5 years out, you can put Redfin, you can put Purplebricks in the middle, you can put, at the low end, we don't have it, maybe instant offer. Does that sound bullshit? Is that going to happen?
Sure it is. I want you to understand something.
I kind of like when you're up there now. I've kind of it took me a while to get comfortable with it. As you can all tell.
Here's the point I'm trying to make. That right there, the ability to innovate in real time, that changes everything.
Yeah.
The ability to build a platform that talks to each other, where everything is integrated is everything. The problem in our industry today is none of the companies that you would put on that side over there, and we can go from Realogy. I mean, when Berkshire Hathaway calls us up and wants to rent our cloud service, dude, that's a problem.
Realogy, how do you go ahead.
Yeah, Realogy. Yeah, whatever.
I called you cheap shot.
I called you Bob once.
Yeah, I know. You called me a lot of things in March. I was in Australia, so I didn't hear it, but
that was good.
People were texting me like crazy. I said, "Oh, don't worry."
You know why I do that is because it's because a lot of the articles you produce are one-sided. They don't tell the other story, right? Yeah, I got pissed because you put my name in an article in the header and no one asked me for my opinion.
Well, that's because we get a lot of readers when we put your name there.
Okay. There's always two sides to the story.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to give me equal time in the article, then I have no choice but to stand up and attack that.
Right.
You leave me no choice. If you'll call me every time you mention me and let me talk, then I'll be nicer.
Well, we like, you know, people love to read about you, and we try to cover you as fairly as we can. Our journalists wake every morning trying to do that. But
They do a great job.
We make mistakes, yeah. Let me go back to leadership. How is running a real estate company today different than it was, or is it exactly the same?
It's all about technology.
Yeah, because you've always been kind of facilitator, educator, which is the new management style, more collaborator. Is that true with your?
Well, I've always been a collaborator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with your best agents, I always love the fact Ben Kenny's and Sue Adler's, these people I admire, are part of your brain trust, and they seem to me to be real good people.
They're great people, by the way. And I spend probably 20 to 30 hours a week working with our top people. Yeah, that's what I do for a living. That's why I know.
So I'll make a confession. I was out of the industry for many years in other industries doing things. I came back, and the first thing I had heard was Keller Williams is on fire. And I had the impressions that a lot of people had: cult, Texas, Christian, all these tag words for Gary Keller and Keller Williams. And I was inherently suspicious as a journalist. And I went down and I wanted to understand the phenomenon. And the one thing that really struck me when you invited me to, I think, Family Reunion or one of those, was the community you created. And it's something we're very proud of. And we have a lot of overlap. There are people here that love you, and hopefully some folks from your community that respect us. And I think we've all learned that building community in real estate is very powerful. So
it is.
We don't agree on everything, but I congratulate you on that.
Well,
and I also truly believe that you see the future better than a lot of us, and I really appreciate you being here.
Well, thanks.
And really good.
Thanks. What do you want to know?
My last.
What are you dying to know?
Well,
what do you want to know?
Tell these people one thing that's going to help them. We're saying you just said it. Change is upon us. What do they need to do?
When I wrote the book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, I said it very crystal clear, and that is your database is your business. Your personal relationship with your database is your frontline defense, offense and defense against anything else that can happen. That's it. Lead generate, touch your people, right? Build relationship with your database. And business hasn't changed.
So the principles are the same, but the difference now is the database. But that was always the case, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Keep in touch with your customers. I mean, you said that over and over.
Well, the truth of the matter is that the entire real estate experience is going to come online. That's all there is to it. Why did Zillow want our data that they can't use, and they have to be audited twice a year to not use it? Is because they want to make their AVM better.
Yeah.
Now, is that good for us? Yes or no? Okay then. Okay then. The answer is no. It's not. It actually isn't good for us as an industry. Yeah.
Great. Thank you for coming all the way up.
You're welcome.
You're the best.
You're the best. Thank you.
So what do you think about that? You think he's passionate about our company and about our agents? Hard to tell. Well, I was in a lab with him not too long ago. It was probably 6 months ago. And he was talking about how passionate he is. And this is a guy who, keep in mind, he has enough money to go and buy an island and have no one ever interrupt him again for his entire life. And he'd be perfectly fine. Yet, he said in that room that day, I will spend every single dollar that I have to make sure that every single agent is protected from all of these other people who are working to disrupt and get rid of our industry.
Yes.
And I believe every single word that he said about that, because this is a guy who up until, he started this company in 1983, and up until I think it was 2002, when the company was making a good amount of money for him, was still driving a 1992 Ford Taurus. And Mo Anderson, who was the CEO of our company at that point in time, told him, Gary, you're going to go and pick up some very important people from the airport. You're taking my car, and then you're going to go and buy another one. Because you can't be showing up bringing these millionaire real estate agents up in your little beat-up Ford Taurus. I'm just not going to stand for that anymore. So he has very, very humble beginnings, and he's passionate about making sure that you guys are all protected, which is something that I am passionate about as well. And here in Georgetown, I mean, we've got this amazing building now. We've got an awesome opportunity to take even more market share here in the city. And I wanted to give you guys an opportunity as well. Who would like to pay less money every single month and keep more of it? Perfect. Well, you're already with a company that can help you do that because you can reach that 100% level with your commissions. And I want to give you another opportunity. Who has had profit share before? Okay. Well, you're still going to be able to get profit share, and there's another opportunity that I'm going to talk to you about. So we were talking about it, and it's come up in a couple of meetings recently, and this idea that we as a market center gets to 40% market share in our community. And there's a way that I think we can do that, and you guys win in multiple ways. So from this day forward until at the very least March 1st, 2019, anybody who you bring to the company and names you as their sponsor that has $4 million or more in market share and has done that consecutively for the last 24 months, so $4 million in months 1 through 12 and $4 million in months 13 through 24, for each person that comes to the company and names you as their sponsor, you'll have a reduction in your cap of $4,500. That's a quarter of your cap. So what happens if you get another one of those people? Same thing. And another one. And another one. No, it caps out at 5. It caps out at 4, actually. So what does that mean? If you take your cap is 0 if you take advantage of that opportunity. But I wanted to go even one step further with, yes, I wanted to go, yes, but there's more. Call now and you'll get 2 sets. No, I'm just kidding. You know those knives that they sell on TV in the middle of the night. Yeah, or what was that? Set it and forget it. The other opportunity that I wanted to do is not just people who are $4 million producers. So for each agent that has $500,000 of market share and has closed $500,000 of market share both months or within 24 months, 2 years back to back consecutively, you'll get a 10% reduction in your cap, which equals what? $1,800. If you were to do that 10 times, what does your cap equal? All right. Now, why is profit share important for that? Because we know that each individual who is a capper with the company, approximately, obviously I can't make any promises on this, but if you bring a capper to the company, on average you'll receive about $2,000 in profit share from that person every single year. So if you go and get 4 people, what's 2,000 times 4? 8,000. So what's the actual value of this? 18,000 plus 8 is what? $26,000. Now, this would be for 1 year, which is why we're doing it through March 1st, because we want to give you that opportunity. And we know that when we put a time limit on something, what? People know when it ends. Mm-hmm. And we'll reassess whether or not we're going to keep doing this in March. But then if you look at that $8,000 right there that you've just added to your profit share consecutively, and by the way, you're not just going to get that for 1 year, you're going to get that every single year that that one person that you recruited up here is in business. That's consistent income every single year that you can depend on. And if these people over here have 500,000 in market share, that's going to be at least, what? At least $500 a year that you're probably going to get in profit share from that one person, and you get 10 of those people, what is that? $5,000 approximately every single year that you can get. So you do those things right there, you just added $13,000 in additional income to your bank account every single year. What would that do for you?
Pay your taxes.
Pay your taxes if you live in an area with a high tax rate, right? What else?
Well, the residual income on the profit sharing just goes on.
Yeah, because guess what? When one of these people comes and joins our company, that exact same opportunity is going to be given to them. And when somebody names you as their sponsor, and then somebody else comes in and names that person as their sponsor, now you have 2 levels of profit share. The people in our company who are making millions and millions of dollars every single year in profit share, they don't make it off of these first 4 people that they got. You know where they make it? In levels 6 and 7 of their profit share. That's where they're making all of their money. Linda McKissick and her husband last year, they made over $1.3 million in profit share. Just last year.
Anybody can retire on that? Anybody?
And Linda McKissick is the same lady who was sitting in a room with a few other agents from other companies, and this was up in Dallas probably 10, 15 years ago. And she was being interviewed, and Gary Keller was the moderator of this, and she was the one who was sitting on that panel, and they were all million-dollar real estate agents. They were all netting $1 million a year. And the first agent Gary Keller goes to, and he says, so what's your volume? And he says, and how many hours are you working? And the guy says, I'm working like 80 hours a week. And then he goes to the next person, and how many hours are you working? And the guy says, I'm working about 60 hours a week. And then he goes to the next lady, and the lady says, well, I'm working about 50 hours a week. And then he gets to Linda McKissick and says, Linda, how many hours a week are you working in order to net $1 million a year? And she says, 4. Because she had leveraged her business to a point where she was depending upon other people who she had hired into her team to be able to build that. When we do this right here, and we get to 40% market share in the city of Georgetown, how hard do you think it'll be to take a listing? Not at all. All you have to do is say, yeah, I'm with Keller Williams. Obviously, I want you to do a full presentation, give them a market analysis and things like that to cover your butt. Yet, it won't be hard. Is this interesting? Do you like this?
Yeah.
Who's going to take advantage of it? Yeah, one guy?
How does that work for teams, if you're on a team?
That's something we've still got to delve into. Right now, this would be for the benefit would be for the Rainmaker and individual agents. This is keep in mind, this has literally only come up over the past week and a half, and I wanted to jump on it. So that's an area where we're going to have an opportunity to address, and I plan on getting a group together. We're going to run this whole thing in the same way that Keller Williams International is with labs. So we're not just going to roll one thing out until we've met with people to talk to them about what the opportunity is. So.
And if you capped already, what is that?
If you capped already, it's going to apply to your next cap year.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions? You're going to have questions. Things are going to come up. We will have a detailed document that will address all of these things. And just know that when you have questions, come and ask. We will, if we don't have an answer yet, we'll get together with our leadership team and come up with an answer to that question. The other thing you need to know is that person has to join this market center. They cannot join any Keller Williams market center in the area. It must be with Keller Williams Realty Georgetown.
So our cousins in Tennessee don't count?
Unless Avis goes and gets licensed in Tennessee and becomes a broker there. No, unfortunately, they're not going to count. But yeah, you'll still get profit share from them. Yeah. Any other questions? All right, so I've been making kind of a big deal about Kelly lately. Would you agree? I've sent a lot of text messages and things out about it. Oh, that was the cap that I was going to talk about. I'm going to make it disappear. It's gone. Now we're going to talk about Kelly. Why is Kelly so important?
She's our future.
Yeah, it is the future. And ultimately, it is going to be the place where when you need to go and get a DA from Ryan, where are you going to get that DA? You're going to get it in Kelly. Where are you going to do your green sheet? You're going to do your green sheet in Kelly. Are you? Yes.
So you go to Ryan?
No, absolutely not. You're still going to go through Ryan. She's going to have to do it on the back end. And when you need a green sheet done, you'll be able to do it right in the Kelly app. All of your transactions are going to be able to run seamlessly through Kelly. And these are features that are coming out over the next 3 to 6 months. So I want you to get early adoption on it. The other thing is that Kelly Snap feature that I talked about a little while ago is available to everyone with the exception of Sherry, who tried it a little bit ago, who just logged into it. So if you try it later this afternoon, it should work. But let's say that you're standing in line at Starbucks and somebody says, hey, Kristen, how's the market? Kristen can come back and say, well, that's awesome. What neighborhood do you live in? They say, well, I live in Georgetown Village. Well, hold on, let me find out for you. Georgetown, Kelly, give me a snap for Georgetown Village. It'll pull right up and say, okay, well, in Georgetown Village right now, there's 16 active listings. The average listing price is $300 and some odd thousand. The average days on market is 64 days. And you could choose to, if you chose to do this, take a screenshot of them and say, hey, let me text you this information. What have you just done? You've added a contact to your database. And how many people have introduced themselves and said, yeah, I'm in real estate? And the question that they got in return was, how's the market? Right. It's happened to all of us, right? Wouldn't that be a lot easier to just say, well, what neighborhood do you live in? Instead of having to go to your computer, do a market analysis for that whole thing, you get instant information. Yes, Kristen?
I was going to say, even better if you're doing a listing presentation, because I know none of y'all procrastinate, and you're looking for market stats, you can look for specific, a specific neighborhood, and then you can include those in your listing presentation. So you can say in this neighborhood specifically, rather than going to the MLS and, spending a lot of time searching. I mean,
Yep.
sold data is a little different, and it can work for your listing.
It starts the conversation.
That's right.
And it's using nextdoor.com in order to give you that detailed information for each neighborhood. And you can go, it's an exclusive partnership that Keller Williams Realty has with nextdoor.com. You can go and create your own Agent Nextdoor website. And that will, every time you have a listing, it'll automatically feature it for you, and you don't have to pay anything for that. So make sure you're doing that. We'll have more videos and things that come out over the next week or so talking about these features. I put up a real quick video the other day that's on our Facebook page about Kelly and shows how the snapshot feature works, and you can use that right now. Any questions about that? Yes, ma'am.
Is Dot Loop gonna go anywhere with all this new Keller Williams?
Dot Loop will be going away at some point in time, probably within the next 12 months. We have a contract with them that ends within the next 12 months, and we have something that will take its place. And you'll be able to manage your entire transaction through Kelly. So, yeah. And then when he talked about the ability to find that data and make it custom tailored, he used Netflix as an example. I know exactly when my kids have been on my Netflix account because I don't watch Treehouse Detectives. So I know when Savannah's been playing with Netflix. And now it thinks that, hey, you like Treehouse Detectives, you'd probably like Barney. But it creates a custom tailored experience to you. That's what we're looking to do with your consumers as well. So that app that I was talking about a while ago really is in production right now of here's a bunch of different features. Swipe left if you like it, swipe right if you don't. And then when houses start coming on the market that meet the criteria that they like and it's a 90% match, it's going to automatically send them that. The other benefit is when you have a listing that comes on the market and someone else here in this area has a client that matches that criteria, it's going to send you a message and say, hey, you may want to reach out to Jody because Jody has somebody that she's working with who is a 90% match for the property you just listed.
Is that a Keller Williams agent?
Yes, as long as it's a Keller Williams agent, it'll work like that. All right, so we got a few other things that we're going to go over real quick. Kelly is super important. I told you I was going to give out $100 in cash for anybody who had downloaded Kelly, so we're going to go ahead and do that right now. As of this morning, when I pulled the list at 10:45, there were 62 people who had downloaded it. So I'm just going to ask for a number between 1 and 62, and we'll count it out and see who wins that money. Give me a number between 1 and 62.
It's 4.
Number 4. Well, that was easy. 1, 2, 3. Candy Smith. And she's not in here this morning. But, hey, Candy, you just won $100.
Oh, God, I came all the way here.
She said give it to Tom. Tom, you were number 2 on the list. So, and it logs the number of interactions that you're doing on this. So we can see how active you are with the app. And every time you ask it a question, it gets smarter because it's sending that information back to Keller Williams International. If they don't have an answer, they're creating a way for that answer to get to you.
And there's a way for you to submit feedback under the settings. If
Correct.
you're having issues with some stuff.
Correct. All right, I'm going to run through the rest of this information as fast as possible. We're going to have an ALC meeting that's going to be on Tuesday, the 21st. Bold is starting next Monday. If you haven't signed up, sign up for it. I'm going to go ahead and make this deal. Everybody who takes Bold will be reimbursed in 2 transactions, as long as you sign up before the first step. So if you haven't signed up for it, sign up for it. Rising Stars, every Monday at 9:30. We had it yesterday. It was pretty awesome. We learned about House Canary. If you've never looked at House Canary, it's a website that you can go to. And when Gary talked about how the data is being sold to everyone, House Canary was created because that organization owns about 90% of appraisal data that's done in the United States of America. It's through the back end of the appraisal systems, because the appraisers, most of them use programs that are outside vendors, and they've sold that data to other people. So if you go on House Canary, try it sometime. It's free. Do a market analysis yourself, and then go to housecanary.com and see what value it tells you the home is worth. It's amazing how accurate it is. It's housecanary.com. Yes, sir.
I just downloaded the app.
Mm-hmm.
So the app gives a bunch of investment stuff too.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll give you risk assessments of the neighborhood, what the prediction is over the next 3 years. Obviously, if you're going to tell a client what you predict the market to do, give it a preface of, I can't guarantee this, and here's what this paper at housecanary.com says. Put the liability back on housecanary.com. Yeah, awesome app. And then Ignite, we've got that going on. It'll be happening again in here tomorrow, and then Friday, and then Monday. Actually, next week will be Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday because of because of Bold, and then Business by the Book on Tuesday. Bruce is going to be doing a tech orientation tomorrow. That's going to be in one of the training rooms, or not training rooms, one of the conference rooms, because this room will have Ignite in it. And then Business by the Book, Holly will be here on the 7th to do that. If you haven't taken that class or thought about taking that class, that book that Gary was talking about when he said I wrote the book, he's talking about the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. It applies.
And you get the
Yeah.
new models.
You get the new models that go with the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book when you come and take that class next week.
Is there a charge for that?
There is a charge. What is the charge?
There's $55. I just resent out the register for Business by the Book. It's an Eventbrite link. If you clicked on that before and it didn't work, I fixed it. And so you $55 and you get both books.
And you can sign up at connectkw.com if you don't get her link for any reason.
Bring a guest,
Yeah.
pay for them too.
Yeah, that would be a good
that'd
way
be
for
a
you to get
great-
here.
There you go. and pay for them to come and yeah.
Yeah,
give
and
them
then
the book.
our ice cream social is going to be on Friday afternoon from 6:30 to 8:30. For wristbands, you can see Donna as you're leaving today. Each person will get 10 wristbands. You can invite as many people, up to 10 as you would like to. And it's going to be right out here in the parking lot. We've got Kona Ice coming. We got a bunch of people who are making homemade ice cream. All the ice cream is going to be in here in the training room because it's going to be too darn hot out there to keep the ice cream out there. And the intention is just to get your clients to come by, say hi, and then there's going to be live music out on the square Friday night too. So it'd be a good opportunity. 6:30 to 8:30, yes. And then Culture meeting is going to be tomorrow morning at 9, just to solidify some of the final details for Friday. So if you'd like to come and be a part of the planning portion of it, be here at 9 o'clock tomorrow. Yes?
Is the ice cream from 6 to 8 or 6:30 to 8:30? The thing says 6 to 8.
Oh, well then it's 6 to 8 because that's what the flyer says. Donna. Oh, perfect. All right, normally we would do buyer needs, seller needs, but we had a lot of stuff to get to this morning, so we're going to go ahead and invite our sponsor from Mid-America Mortgage to come on in.
Michelle?
Hey, how are you? Come on in. Tell us about yourself.
Hi, I'm Michelle Lost. I'm with Mid-America Mortgage. I thank you for letting me come. I've lived in Georgetown now 20 years, so I'm like old time for Georgetown. And I've been a loan officer for 15 years. I worked at Union State Bank prior to getting in the mortgage business. So, done commercial loans as well. Mid-America is very progressive. We do e-closings. We have signed up now. We're going to be one of the first to do e-notary closings. That'll be online via Skype. We do a lot of electronic docs. We're very progressive in that way. Our CEO has been to Washington, D.C., and he's actually helping write the legislation to get government loans to be able to be e-closed. So we've got a whole lot of electronic products. We do, of course, the normal run-of-the-mill loans, you know, conventional FHA, USDA, VA, of course, all of those. But just in case anybody is needing anything kind of hard money, we've got kind of a sideline for that, for a lot of construction loans and flip loans. So we have a lot of different kinds of products. So anyway, we'd love to help you, so give us a call.
Good. Awesome.
Mid-America.
Thank you so much. Tom, you had something real quick you wanted to talk to us about. Take it away.
Okay, sorry about keeping you guys late. My dad has Alzheimer's. A lot of you know people that have Alzheimer's disease. September 15th, there's going to be a walk at Old Settlers Park. It's really tragic to walk into your parents' house and your dad say, "Who the hell are you?" or you want some food? Go find another place. I know it's kind of funny when you learn about that he doesn't understand what's going on, and it's a tragedy. It's really sad to watch somebody disappear before you. This is very important, very near and dear to me. September 15th, we're having the Alzheimer's Walk in Old Settlers Park. I'm going to be the MC. I have a team called Catlin's Crusaders. I'd love for you to join, whether you just donate $5 or $1,000, whatever you want to donate. $10,000 is my goal. If you need any information, I've got flyers, and I didn't think I was going to have opportunity to speak, so it's just a terrible, terrible situation. And so if there's anything that we can do to end this disease or to mitigate the effects of the disease, man, we need to do it. So come see me. I've got flyers. There's a link I can send you as well. I appreciate $5. I'd appreciate 5,000. Oh, did you say 10,000? Yeah. Thank you. That's what I've got. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thank you. One final thing before we leave today. I was reading the MREA book the other day and going back through it again. And there's this portion in here that says, when I was a child, my parents had framed a print across from my bedroom called Portrait of an Achiever. Below the title was this list. 1832, failed in business from bankruptcy. 1832, defeated for legislature. 1834, failed in business, bankruptcy. 1835, fiance died. 1836, nervous breakdown. 1838, defeated in election. 1843, defeated for U.S. Congress. 1848, defeated for U.S. Congress. 1855, defeated for U.S. Senate. 1856, defeated for Vice President. 1858, defeated for U.S. Senate. Had you stopped there, you would have missed the final point. 1860, elected President of the United States of America. Abraham Lincoln. How many times are you willing to fail before you succeed? Have a great day.
Oh, hey Tom, I was texting her while we're in here. That's why I said.